I first started spray painting when I was young. I lived in a town with tons of abandoned buildings, factories, hospitals, schools, hotels. They were just everywhere and nobody cared. And I would go there to take photographs, you know, and broken windows or cool artsy stuff, I thought. And then one time I went and I saw somebody had done a giant Sharpie drawing on the wall. I was like, why? I love to draw, why haven't I ever done this? So I came back with spray paint and honestly, a cooler full of lunch and some friends, and we spent all day, and it was love at first spray. I'm J Massullo, and I'm a muralist. I teach middle school art, 6th through 8th grade. I got into teaching because honestly, my parents are both teachers, and my mom has been pushing me to be a teacher ever since I was young. And in college, I thought, this would be a career path that would let me explore my interests in a day job, but also give me a little time in the summers to pursue my own interests. Growing up, I was definitely the oddball in the family because I was into art and always drawing. However, my parents were incredibly supportive of it. It wasn't something they understood, but it was something they supported. I think my whole life I was a compulsive doodler and I drew a lot, and I didn't really know that I wanted to be an artist until I started to get older. And you know, you start to get to college and you have to stare down the future and think, what am I going to do? And one of the few things that I just never really got bored of or never lost interest in was just drawing all the time. I mean, it's something, I love spray paint, I love painting and drawing. It's something that I would be doing most every weekend just on my own dime for fun. And the ability to turn that into something like a career has been excellent for me. I was really excited when I talked to Jamie when we had our consultation because most clients want to fit the theme of their business or go along something and have an idea. And then it's not really my art so much. Whereas Roshambo, they already had a mural like that and they wanted something just a little bit more out there. And they liked some of my personal artwork and sketches, and it's always great when someone wants one of my personal designs up on their wall. Cool, I'm excited to see what I can do with this wall.
Yeah, this wall's gonna be awesome. I really appreciate the work you did on the other mural. It's brought a lot of attention to the shop. A lot of people walking by, stopping in, checking us out, a lot of compliments.
Thanks, I'm glad you guys like it. I'm really happy to hear that. Working on the skull theme, I did a bunch of different sketches and I'm playing a lot with different compositions, and layouts and imagery and even color scheme.
Yeah, that's the one, that's sick.
All right.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this is that this is kind of like a blue-green. And if I was, you know, really kind of work that sort of palette with the oranges, it's going to vibe with whatever.
Yeah, the orange really pops, and that will fit into the other mural that we have already done by you. So I think that's probably a good way to go.
Cool.
Obviously, there's going to be tweaks and stuff like that, and you're going to add in some more stuff, but I think that's a great design.
I can take this, what I can do, and sit down and sketch on it and make it a little bit more developed and see what you think about there.
That'd be awesome.
But, cool. They really wanted me to be creative with it, so I just brought a big stack of drawings. We looked through a lot of my old murals and work, and they just wanted me to pick a direction. They were attracted to this old drawing I had done and asked if I could revamp it for the wall. Materials are incredibly important. You get what you pay for in art materials. What I like about shopping at Michael's is the fact that I know that they're gonna have a large stock of good quality paints. Like they're gonna have good quality materials in stock and lots of them. When I'm about to start a mural, my process starts off with preparing the area. That might be dusting off a wall, taping up edges, putting down drop cloths. Then I usually just start with the sketch. Sometimes I'll use chalk or pencil if I want to preserve some of the background and not make a mess. But if I'm going to cover the whole wall, I'll usually just start sketching with a light color of spray paint. And there you start filling in large shapes. Background to foreground is usually the best way to work. I think I have a few different personal styles that I work on. I think I range from kind of weird sci-fi, borderline abstract, to more organic and I don't want to say creepy, but a little darker. A lot of them, my designs look like they could easily be covers for metal albums. All right, so typically I start out thinking about spacing, and I might make a little mark here or there somewhere, right where I want like the main focus to be. And then I'll start sketching outward from there, just nice and light. I'll usually start with a light color like this orange here, easy to go over, and just get a rough sketch up on the wall so I can look at spacing. From there, I start filling it in a little bit darker, make corrections, start shaping up some of the background. When I get to a point like this, it's nice and sketched out. From there, I can start blasting color in, just filling in large sections. And typically, it's best to start with the background and work your way through the foreground. As far as sources of inspiration, I grew up on old horror movies, black and white stuff. It was a big thing with my family. I've actually got a Frankenstein tattoo. And they've always just kind of loomed large in my imagination. As far as illustration has inspired me, I really like artists like Sean Murphy and people like that. Just have a really effortless style that really kind of displays the ink, you know, like they're not just drawing something with pens to an end. You see the pen and the stroke and the movements in the way they draw, and it's astounding to me. Something a lot of people don't realize about spray paint is that the caps can be really important. Aftermarket caps come in different sizes depending on what you're doing. You can get fat caps to help you fill large areas much faster and get really expressive lines with those. Some of them are very responsive, so you can get different style lines. And then also they make a lot of thin caps or small line caps great for detail. Caps will also come in hard or soft line. If you want to get a very straight line, you'd probably want a hard cap. I'm doing a lot of blending here in small spaces, so I'm using a soft cap. This is a thin soft cap. And you see, I can just get right in these little tiny spaces people wouldn't think you can do with spray paint. Some of it's just, you know, getting used to using spray paint. This is a Montana #1. It's the thin cap they make. And it's great for small detailed areas. When you could come with a concrete plan for a mural and think you have it all planned out, but then you start getting it up on the wall and it just doesn't look right. The spacing's not how you thought it would be or things like that. So you always have to be flexible and willing to make little changes in the process. Rather than having everything planned, I like to work organically. And I feel like you're going to sacrifice your time for that flexibility. So it might take me a little bit longer, yeah. But I like to be able to be responsive and change things in the moment because it doesn't always get a plan. Things might you know, you think you know how you want it, and then you see it up on the wall and you decide you need to change things. Yeah, when you're working large scale on a mural, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, and you lose sense of perspective and proportion. And it's definitely important to step back and see how everything relates. When you're up close, you can obviously only focus on one part of it. Sometimes I need to force myself to do that more often than I do. When you're spray painting and you're going to blend, you don't want it on too thick because it can like bubble up or take a second to dry. Sometimes you get drips like that. So tend to keep your hand moving. It's going to be better and spray on an area. And that way you get some overspray, which is great for blending anyway. I tend to layer, I put in the shadows first for two reasons. I think it's easier to blend light over top of dark with spray paint. And also it helps you see the form of what you're trying to make better. My favorite part of the process is probably somewhere in the middle usually. You'll have the shapes filled in, you'll have the sketch done, and you can start developing and adding detail on something. And there will usually be some little bit, like a flower or a tooth or a bit of fur if it's an animal, something you'll see in detail, and you'll be like, yeah, that looks good. That looks good, this is gonna look good. And that's a good feeling. When I make a mistake in the process, the good thing about acrylics or spray paint is that they're both fast drying. That's why I like sketching a lot of times with spray paint, because you're gonna need to make a lot of corrections, but it's dry in just a minute. You also learn to recognize that even if something is not exactly your original vision, there's no absolute right or wrong in art. So that little mistake you made might just be part of the painting now. And if you really examine it and think about it, it's just different. It's not necessarily a mistake at all. Every project has its own challenges. For this one, I would say the most challenging thing is just all the detail. It's been incredibly labor intensive and time consuming, just because of all the details here. Even though it's a passion of mine and art is something I love, it really is a lot of hard work. It's long nights. It's time spent working instead of at home. And don't get me wrong, it's incredibly rewarding, but it is still work. It's usually coffee that drives me forward to finish. I'm often working late at night or on a weekend where I didn't get much sleep the night before. And murals take a long time, so there's always a point where I feel like going home, and a little coffee break will just keep it going. Best tool for the creative process. Time to think, time to draw. A sketchbook. Just somewhere to work ideas, keep doing that. If you want to get into spray paint, the best tool is a location that you can reliably paint and spend time to develop your skills, because it is just a lot of technique. It's got to be there. How How I try and grow as an artist is just to never give up on the small things. I sketch every day, at least for a little bit, and there's the fundamentals, there's always room for improvement on. Just, you know, being aware of your proportions and your forms, dimensions, things like that. And yeah, the fundamentals are always important to work on. One thing I try and teach my students, and I feel like I do this younger than other art teachers, is just the mechanics of drawing. Some people, they see a nice drawing and they don't understand how it got from a blank sheet of paper to that. But there are processes you can learn. There are steps that you can take to make it easier to get where you want. And I think a lot of teachers skip over that. And you know, without that foundation of how to represent forms in space the way you want, your drawing might never progress. So I think that to really be an artist, it's a lifelong pursuit, and you have to see yourself as always getting better. And if you don't see flaws in your old work, you're just not going to grow. If I use a brush, it's almost always going to be the very last stage of the process. Just adding in those fine details that don't really make sense to do with spray paint. You can clean up some edges. I'm about to do that. And you just have a little bit more control. And dries quick, easy to clean up. It's nice. One piece of advice I would give to young or just inexperienced artists, because Van Gogh didn't paint till he was 35, would be to just keep pushing. It's not an immediate thing, it's a lifelong struggle. You gotta keep challenging yourself and recognize your successes. Keep old sketchbooks, because you know, if right now you're feeling I'm not as good as I'd like to be, look at something you drew 2 years ago and you're gonna feel better about yourself. About this one, my favorite thing is I'm really proud of the detail. I never thought I'd be able to paint with spray paint. I remember when I started with spray paint, using cheap paint on raw cinder block walls, not knowing what I was doing. And I never would have thought that, you know, detail like this with just spray paint would be possible for me. It's time. Time with a can in my hand.
What's going on, buddy?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, great to see you.
All right, thanks for let me take over in here for a couple days.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited.
Are you?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome.
No, awesome. I think it turned out pretty well, you know?
Yeah.
There's always some things you'd change, but there's a lot to be happy about.
I'm sure it's gonna be great, man. You did our other piece, and it was awesome, so I trust you.
Cool,
I think you got it.
You wanna go see it?
Yeah, let's go see it. Oh, man, that's sick.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, that's rad, dude.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you like it.
That's awesome, buddy.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Did a really good job.
So a lot of time spent in there on the detail and pulling out all those leaves and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a lot more detail than I thought there was going to be, especially with spray, you know.
Yeah, it's probably the most in-depth, detailed spray painting I've ever done. Actually, without a doubt, it is.
Crazy to tell that it's only just spray, you know.
Well, I did use some acrylic to pull out some lines here and there. You can see it on the underside of the mushrooms.
Yeah, I can see that.
Around some of the leaves, just to make the edge a little bit crispier. Yeah, a little bit of blue and some white.
Like the beetles, really cool. Mushrooms are awesome. I like the skulls quite a bit. Like the flowers coming out of their faces and stuff like that is really cool.
Yeah. I feel like
the little line work on the bottom of the swords is good too.
There's a lot bringing attention into the faces right there, the skulls. That's
yeah, I think that's the whole highlight, you know. And then you got the swords that are going up towards the ceiling, so that's really cool too.
You like your little snake guy there?
Yeah, I'm stoked about the snake. A lot of work that I can't even imagine. I'm starting to see stuff that I didn't see before. Yeah, I'm super happy with it, man. I think it's awesome. I think you did a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Honestly, seeing their reaction was really great. I'm glad they're happy with it. They're really supportive. They gave me a lot of freedom and trusted me, and it was really cool to see that they liked what I did. And sometimes it's honestly nerve-wracking. You're not sure if people are going to like it. And yeah, so it's still always good to see that they have a positive reaction. Maybe my favorite aspect of this finished painting is the color scheme. I really like this color palette and how they work together. It's a little bit more subdued, but there's still some bright colors in it. And it's just gonna mesh really well with the mural I already did for them and some of the design Jane has done for the space. It's good. You know, most of my art time is just sketching and working on ideas, and it's rare that you see them totally come to fruition. It's something that you really invest yourself in and time in. Because when you're spending a lot of time making art, you're really, you know, you're investing yourself. That's your time, your mortality. So it's nice when you can really put time into something and work and see it come to life. It's part of you.